guys.
How you doing,
Hey,
Max?
Doing good. Great show. I've been downloading it and watching it. I'm doing some home remodeling right now. Just put it on loudspeaker and going to town.
Cool.
Okay. I got a quick question. As I understand, dominionism is the purpose of dominionism is that the followers of that belief have the government that they installed. Do I understand this correctly? That they run the country eventually.
That's the idea.
Yeah, that's the goal.
And if that's the case, isn't this a little kind of too late to worry about that? I mean, we have God on the money, God's in schools. We have politicians that openly worship God. We have, as a matter of fact, it's bad now to come out and say, you know, I don't believe in God. Nobody would vote for you.
Right.
We have a president who says, you know, God told me to go to war, in so many words. Basically, you know, the question is, what's the big deal? We're already, like, almost there.
We may be almost there in some regards.
I wouldn't even agree that
but
we're almost there.
I don't think that we're nearly so close as
that it
that
couldn't
picture
get a lot
portrays.
worse.
But the big thing is we have a secular constitution that guarantees freedoms to all of us. And right now those freedoms still exist, no matter how hard people are trying to violate them, no matter how much they blur the lines between the separation of church and state, it still exists, and continually striving to make sure that it continues to exist and that it is better understood and better implemented across the board. That's something we have to do. If we throw up our hands and say, well, they pretty much got us already, what happens when the dominionists, which I don't think they have any chance of actually taking over, but if everybody kind of sits on their hands and ignores it, who knows? What happens when they take over is that all of a sudden those freedoms that allow us to question things, to have our own beliefs, to freely express our own beliefs, to do shows like this, to, no matter how disapprovingly someone may look at you for being an atheist, still being allowed to publicly express that you don't believe in the invisible man in the sky who's going to come save us all before the end of the world. Those freedoms go away.
We don't currently have executions for heresy, so we're actually a long way from a theocratic government, no matter what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that that these particular individuals have the deeply nefarious goals of bringing back the Dark Ages and witch trials.
Wait till you read.
I think that a lot of the things that they've said approach that. I'd hope that people are still reasonable even in their delusions and bigotry and religiously inspired fervor. That may not be the case, and I'm not willing to test the theory. I'm not willing to sit by and say, you know what, they're already doing most of this, I'm not going to fight them. Screw it, I'm fighting them till I'm dead. Or until we get the country back and the world back to, or maybe not back, as we've probably never been there worldwide or even within a nation. We get the world to a state where, you know, you can believe whatever silly nonsense you want, but your rights and freedoms end where mine began. We both know and acknowledge this, and we live cooperatively based on those things that we agree on, and leave decisions about how an individual conscience is going to dictate somebody's actions up to the individual.
Thanks for the answer. And just real quick before I hang up, why is it that they have this policy of incrementalism where they keep pushing, you know, just a little more, just a little more, just a little more, and then 10 years go by and all of a sudden you realize that, you know, most of your politicians are fairly religious. What can we do to kind of push back? Because it seems like, you know, especially in the last, 5 to 10 years in terms of religion and government, as well as like scientific advances, stem cell research. Europe just built a Large Hadron Collider, and we're kind of behind on that. It seems like they're pushing, but we're not. Like, what can we do to kind of push back?
Okay. We'll go ahead and answer that offline so we get some room for more callers. I appreciate the call, Max. What would you say we could do?
I'm have a tendency to lean more political than some people here would like, but I think that politics basically have to trickle up from the ground level, and there is a lot of ignorance in voters just going after people that they think represent their values, because there has been sort of a successful campaign to sort of shame and intimidate atheists into silence, and make it to the point where people who would otherwise be reasonable even accept the idea that you have to be religious to be moral. And one of the things that I believe in strongly is shaming them right back and pointing out and raising awareness of things like dominionism.